YouTube also, or just Twitch?
Yeah, both Twitch and YouTube. All right, welcome back, everyone. This is CoinPoker's Cash Game World Championship, and this is the second stream of the day. And we're joined by Xin Hao. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, it's the way people talk my name in English. Yeah, it can be. Actually, in Portuguese, it would be Zinhão, but we understand.
Zinhao?
Zinhão, yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's like it looks like a Chinese name.
Yeah, it looks like people used to think I'm Chinese guy actually in the games.
Okay, but it's like a Brazilian name?
Yeah, actually, Zinhão is like, it's funny because if you see, like, for example, Ronaldinho or every Inho names in Portuguese is like diminutive, like small stuff. So, and when you have in the end, it's actually big. For example, Ronaldão is big Ronaldo. Ronaldo is Ronaldo, and Ronaldinho is like small Ronaldo.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I didn't know that. And Zinhão is like, because my nickname was like, just because my name is Mateus, so Mateuzinho, like little Mateus, and then it became just Zinho, which is kind of little, and then Zinhão is like big little.
Oh, okay, I see. But that's your nickname. It's not like a real name or something.
No, yeah, my name is Mateus.
Okay, nice. Yeah, nice to meet you, man. Can you introduce yourself a little more for any of the viewers that might not be familiar with you?
Yeah, sure. First of all, thank you for the invite. It's an honor to be here and pretty fun. And I'm a cash game player, and I started playing like more than 10 years ago. I climbed all the stakes, played a bunch of high stakes, battled out with some of the guys that are here. Not that much though. And in 2019, me and my partner Saulo Costa, we built Metagame Poker, which started as what we call here in Brazil as a team, but it's like a stable. So we have stables and coaching for profits for cash games, and now we have some other companies in poker. So we are a group already, Metagame Group, and we are launching also an MTT stable. So yeah, I'm kind of a little bit of a cash game player, a little bit MTT player, a little bit of a coach, a little bit of entrepreneur and CEO, and yeah, just a little bit of myself.
Nice. And yeah, so Biluzin is one of you guys, I believe. So like, does it feel special to see somebody that came from your stable, your training program, do this well here at the highest level?
Yeah, for sure. Like, Biluzin is our best player for sure. And I already told this back there, but for sure the most impressive and the most phenomenal player that I've trained in the whole my career. And like I have trained a lot of very good guys, to be honest. And Pedro is for sure the most phenomenal of all of them. And maybe some guys are not familiarized, but he started with us playing 2NL 5 years ago, and now he's basically winning this championship, at least for now. So, and he's a very good friend of mine, and guy, like a fantastic guy, and it's for sure is one of my biggest prouds of my life, being like in this place, having seeing him having this type of results.
Yeah.
And for sure, immense pride.
What do you think allows him to do this well? You say he started 2NL 5 years ago, but it's like a pretty quick rise and ascension to the top. So is he a real hard worker, or do you think there's some sort of talent involved? Like, what can you tell us about this?
Excellent question, and I would say everything, man. For sure, Pedro is one of the hardest worker that I ever saw. One of the most intelligent guys also, and he is the type of guy that we had our our like basement team that started with guys playing um, very micro stakes. And I remember the first time I got in touch with him, I already knew like because he was playing when he was playing like 10 NL or 5 NL. I remember he was grinding so much and he was so good that 888 Poker thought he was a bot and he was banned because of it. And I remember like it was kind of a joke, and we already knew about his rising because he was like different type of animal for sure. And first coach, I remember that the first coach I gave him, he was just like paying a lot of attention, like pretty chilled and saying like, okay, everything I said to him, he was like, okay, yeah, okay, fine. And he's not the type of the guy that have to ask you a lot of times to understand something. So he have his capable his capacity of assimilation of something is so fast, and he have a so good mental game that is like the best I ever saw for sure. He can grind a lot, so he loves the game. He plays like non-stop. He plays like 7 days a week if it's like required, and he never tilts. He's very chill with the game. Basically, he's like one in a million for sure. Like he's the most impressive guy I ever trained for sure.
It's interesting, yeah, because when I ask you about it, it's like, I kind of expect like a one main thing that stands out, but you're basically saying he's like well-rounded, like he has like nearly no flaws, like he's good at everything, mental game, learning, paying attention, being consistent,
Yeah.
not tilting.
Yeah, exactly. He's more like in the grinder side than more in the scientific part. He's not the guy that he's gonna be like doing a super deep um solver work and like very, like he's not that type of guy that gonna make a pretty good class, like pretty beautiful and with a lot of details. But he studies a lot for sure, but he understands things pretty quick, and he just likes to input in practice. So I would say he's more like a grinder than a scientist, but like he's definitely a crusher, because he can um, kind of mix both of things.
Yeah. Um, Historically, actually, in the cash game world championship, I don't think there's been too many Brazilians, but we know there's a lot of good poker players from Brazil. But I feel like they are more known in MTTs, probably with guys like Yuri Dziewielewski.
Yeah,
But
sure.
do you feel like maybe in cash game the Brazilians are underestimated, and there's like more? There's going to be more in the future now with like Biluzin showing like what can be done.
For sure, like historically here in Brazil, like especially because of how poker is treated here, like in the society speaking, there was like a big, because in Brazil casinos are banned. So we have a historic that trends us to not have too many gamble at all, and like poker was kind of always inputted in this mix. So what happened is the first guys that appeared, they all played tournaments, which like led everyone to follow this journey. And also we as a community, a poker community, we use it too much the like the mental sport thing, and kind of all of this thing was basically leaned towards tournaments. So historically, we don't have too many historic of cash game players.
Yeah.
So I was one of the first that stood out, like in 2016, 2017, when I started, and then I started to do more contents and talking about no limit cash games, like in 2018, 19, and we had like very few no limit hold'em players. We had, for example, Gabriel Goff, I don't know if you remember, that played PLO, Verve Oasis. We have the myth Urubu 111. He was a Brazilian guy, but historically, yeah, we do have way more tournaments players. And now that we started 6 years ago with metagame, that we are basically basically making these guys players from the stretch. So basically, I would say nowadays, like from the next 5 years, for sure we're gonna be seeing more cash game players playing high stakes, for sure, from now on.
Yeah, come to think of it, if we compare cash and tournaments, it's like tournaments are open entry. There will always be like a stream deep in a tournament, like the featured table along the way, and then like you have all these platforms, right? They always have some featured table with the final table being there, so it gets a ton of exposure no matter what it is, which circuit it is. Whereas cash, really there isn't much, right? Like there is like all those streams in LA or Vegas, but then all of those games are private. They're not open seats. So then how could like the most known cash game players really get on there and get some, make a name for themselves or get as much advertising? So it's kind of, I feel like in a way, it's much more like hardcore base, where like if you're really into cash game and you follow that scene, you'll be able to know about this. But yeah, if it wasn't the case, maybe we would have already seen a lot of those guys. Like you and Saulo might have been on like a whole bunch of the streams, and like your popularity might be like way bigger even to like casual players.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. And another thing that happens is that in Brazil we don't have casinos; we just have poker rooms, and our live poker is a mess here in Brazil because you don't find any live games that have a rake that is cheaper than 5% uncapped. So if you want to play live poker in Brazil, live cash game, you're gonna just find 5% uncapped games. So for sure this is like unsustainable, and you can't see too many players rising or too many players pursuing this career, like playing live cash. So the community, it's all basically towards tournaments. And I don't know if by coincidence or because this was what happens in the rising of poker in Brazil, which started like in the early 20s. So basically, 2006, 2007, we started as a community. But because our currency, like our money, is like very not like very bad. Then a lot of professional poker players started to rising because you play poker online. Your earnings are in USD and not in reais, that are our coin. And then basically everyone that was pursuing for poker, they were pursuing poker, but they were pursuing tournaments because you basically didn't have any incentive to playing cash games in the poker rooms. The rake is too high. Online, you didn't have no one showing up because of the reasons that you pointed out. So yeah, we started with some guys that won like WSOP, like Alexandre Gomes, Akari. Then you have like João Simão, Yuri. And then nowadays that I started there like in 2018, making contents, living from cash games, making it stable. Now you have like more Brazilian players standing out and reaching the high stakes.
Yeah, very nice actually. Like this is some of the stuff that I wouldn't necessarily know about, but I'm definitely learning more about it for sure. Before there was some talks about Saulo. He mentioned that in this type of in the format in the previous Cash Game World Championship, that certain players from lower stakes, if they were to play, they wouldn't be losing more than a certain amount. But it didn't end up manifesting and seeing some of those guys. So I'm curious, like, did you guys talk about this, like potentially doing something like this? And why was Biluzin not playing in the previous one? Was he not playing those stakes yet? That was about a year ago, the previous one.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, this subject always come up, and when this subject came up, it was like George basically ranting. I think this is the term, like kind of hating Saulo on Twitter. And I know George. I had talk with him like before. Like we had a good relationship, and when he standed out like basically accusing Saulo of doing some marketing with these stuffs, etc. I went to talk to him because I said to him like, man, this like you didn't need to like stand out and like kind of hating him publicly because of this. Like he's just giving him this opinion. And if you guys like knew Saul, I'm not saying about you, but the guys that are kind of hating him because of it, if you guys knew him, you guys would know that it's just his opinion. And I had like several argues with him before because it's something that is not solvable. But indeed, we did a lot of research on this matter, and we actually had a software where Saulo built himself, and we put our players to play versus like a simplified version of GTO for sure. And the result was, I'm not gonna say the result because this is like kind of classified, but the result was that indeed like our players, and it was like 100 and L players, 200 and L players, didn't lost much to GTO. So we started to do some calculations, etc. And Saulo ended up just like answering a comment that was in one video. Like the guy asked, "Hey Saulo, do you think you would lost too much to Stefan and Limitless in a three-hander or something?" And Saulo said that basically what he wanted to say that time was someone like some 200 NL or 500 NL grinder that have good like GTO fundamentals, if he can keep with those good GTO fundamentals, then he wouldn't lose too much to even like these super high stakes players. That was what he meant.
Okay.
And I think his point, like I kind of disagree with it. Like I'm his partner, and we had several arguments. I disagree with it because I think there are some mental stuffs that we were talking about. Like the game would be somewhat deep at some time that maybe 500 and now players like in practice they would make like some big mistakes, and for sure it will make some blunders. But in theory, if we keep like emotions aside, and if you have even like a 500 and now player that he can just stick out with normal GTO and like playing a solid game, then I actually think he wouldn't lost too much, you know?
Yeah.
And this is kind of what he said. And then people just misinterpreted it. Like George made a super drama about it. Then Jaser made a video about it. But actually his point when he said like, hey, no one will present a super high sample, a super big sample, like crushing a only reg battle games. So I think he have his point. Basically, we will never know because we could know in theory if this would be a thing or not. But I myself was doing some, and I think you kind of can see his point because if you get Linus for example, like is Linus losing in these games? I really doubt he's losing, but in a low sample he can lose a lot. And if you get like his last challenge results and his nowadays results, you're gonna see him winning like 2 BBs, maybe something like that. And shouldn't Linus be winning more than that? Then I think he's more right than wrong. And yeah, basically it. But sticking to your first question, it wasn't like a super plan that we had. Like, oh, let's put Pedro there to prove something, because Pedro have been battling like 5K and 10K before. So 2 years ago, before he decided to do the WPN Supernova Elite. I don't know what's the name, but like super grind that he did. He was already playing like some 5Ks, some 10Ks, and even before this challenge, he had been playing like Nacho Heads Up. He had been battling 5K. He had been playing 2K on GG, being one of the guys that inputted the most volume. He had been playing private games and apps like higher. So we wouldn't prove anything by putting Pedro there, you know. Like I would have to put some other guys, you know. So that's not the point. Pedro just felt he wanted to play the challenge. We said, go there, do what you know. And he's like he ran super hot in the beginning for sure. Gave him more confidence. He's battling the guys and he's winning. That's what happened.
Yeah. Just to clarify, by the way, like you talk about haters of Saulo, I'm absolutely not a hater. In fact, I absolutely love his content. I messaged him many times about being on the stream. I would love for him to come on the stream if he gets a chance. But yeah, and who's George? Sorry, because you mentioned George a bunch of times. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, you know, all of this discussion started with George. You met, bro. I don't know if you know him, George Frogat.
No, I don't know.
You don't know. So you're talking about the subject that was about this whole thing that I pointed out, right?
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, I just heard
now players.
Yeah, I just heard about it like distantly without knowing like all the details.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm telling the whole story that the first guy that pointed this out was George. You met, bro. He's a BitB coach, high stakes player, and he pointed out this on Twitter, kind of like freaking out about Saulo, like, hey, Saulo, how could you do some stuffs like that because of marketing? What are you trying to prove that, blah, blah, blah. And it was just his opinion, you know?
Yeah.
And it was his opinion. All of this started because Saulo answered a guy in a video that Saulo made. So the guy asked, how much do you think you would lose in a reg battle, three-handed, versus Stefan and Linus? And Saulo said, I don't think I would lose much. In fact, I don't think a 500 NL player with good GTO parameters, if he stick with it, I don't think he would lose much. That was his point. Okay. And then George printed this out and went to Twitter to talk about it.
I see. Okay, no, it makes sense. Ooh, ace king suited against aces. Well, MrLumberjack, can he chop? He needs a 10. Not gonna get it. Dude, he gets the full stack from him. So Biluzin is the only player from Brazil in the leaderboards. Then is he?
No, actually, Doblo. That was.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Doblo, Bruno.
He's a Brazilian American kind of.
Yeah. He lives in the U.S., but he's Brazilian. And Matheus Pinheiro also exploitable. He played a bit.
Yeah, actually, we're gonna have him on tomorrow.
Awesome.
He's gonna join. Is he part also of Metagame?
No. Actually, yeah, we know each other like for a long time, but no. Actually, he's the owner of another stable. They started like I think like a year ago or something somewhat brand new. But yeah, he's like technically would be our competitor, but like he's not a competitor, you know.
Yeah. Okay. And so what about you nowadays? Do you still play a lot, or you focus more on like the business side of things?
Yeah, I wish I could play more. I have been in touch more with the game nowadays. I like the last 2 years was pretty tough to me in the business part, but I'm always like coaching. I stopped coach for our deluxe guys, like that are our high stakes players, like I think a year ago or maybe a little bit less. And now we are launching our MTT team, which I'm the CEO also. So I have some stuff to do, but Saulo already got back to grind a lot. That was something that we didn't do too much in the last 2 years. And my plans are to get back a little bit more in the games. I have been playing some MTTs live, some MTTs high stakes, some of the series. I have been playing some live private games, also cash games. But yeah, I thought about playing a little bit of the challenge, but actually I'm somewhat rusty, so I don't want to lose too much money for those guys, you know.
And do you go to Vegas every summer, or like sometimes to play there as well?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, nice.
Actually, I think last year I missed, but the last 5 years I probably went like four, and played some MTTs, some cash games also, some yeah, basically.
Yeah, I've always noticed like there's a lot of Brazilians that play poker, like whether it was in cash game or MTTs or like streamers on Twitch. There's quite a few of them as well. I know
Uh huh.
some, like a little bit, but
Uh huh.
yeah, no, I guess with it makes sense, right? With the population being high, that like if there is interest, like it catches on, and also there is some players kind of like leading the way with Yuri, showing like what can be done and
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
some great achievements.
Yeah, for sure. And like being a poker player in Brazil is a pretty good career, because our minimum wage, if you're gonna see, it's like I think $200 or something like that, and the average would be $600, $500. So for
Yeah,
Brazilians, it's basically a dream to play online poker. You earn like a salary that would be from an engineer or from a doctor, and playing cards in your room. So
yeah.
it's a pretty good career for Brazilians, and population is very very big. And there's another thing, like Brazilians are super addicted to like social medias, to internet overall. So you have a lot of guys willing to play poker.
I always thought actually that Brazil was really expensive because like many years ago when I was working in gaming, I went to an event, Intel Extreme Masters, like Sao Paulo, and I remember I went to
Mm-hmm.
a mall and I
Mm-hmm.
went, there was like a food court and I ordered picanha there, and then it was like 20 euro or something,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, how the hell shopping mall food is like 20 euro for like a steak? I was like, this is insane. How do people
Yeah.
live here? If the rest of the city is like
Yeah.
this, it must be so expensive.
Uh-huh. Yeah, but there's two things there, because first of all, we were in the expensive city of Brazil, that is São Paulo. Like everyone there is like 2x, 3x the price.
Okay.
And also, like, just being in a mall, it is indeed like people can't afford for it. Like the vast majority of population is indeed poor, and if you earn like 2k USD, you're way above average. And even though you can't do a lot of things.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting. Yeah,
basically.
somebody told me later. Yeah, it's like only in the shopping mall you get like this high price, but maybe like outside it's like totally different.
Yeah,
So I had
yeah,
no
somewhat
idea.
like that also. Uh-huh.
I got someone that wants to join, so I will invite you. Just have to pick up in a second, okay? Because he's gonna
Okay,
create
yeah.
another call. Hello,
Hello, hello. Good evening.
how's it going, good sir?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm very well. We're closing in on the final stretch here. I'm excited. It's exciting stuff.
Yeah, actually, like yeah, in 2 hours it'll be exactly 2 days left. Oh, actually, not 3 hours, sorry, because it's UK time. And yeah, like I don't know if you caught the stream earlier. It was pretty epic. We had Davey on for a while. Did you watch?
I didn't watch the full stream, but I tuned in for Davy Jones. Of course, I did.
Yeah.
I had to see his thoughts on things. I was just sitting here being a fan like everybody else. So yeah, very cool to hear his thoughts. And yeah, it seems like a super down to earth guy as well.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing to hear from him for like well over an hour as well. Even did like some hands at the ends, and it's interesting what he said of like he said he thinks like poker players should do more to talk publicly maybe and do some things to like advertise the games, like make more public appearances, which leads to maybe a mechanics of poker episode. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean that would be great, obviously. Yeah, I think it's always an interesting sort of back and forth with these top guys that they don't necessarily have much benefit from sharing information or sharing uh putting themselves out there, or even just making people aware that they're a good player, sometimes that can be detrimental to their career. But yeah, I think Davey alluded to this, where it's good for the game of poker overall if we have our best and brightest in the spotlight and giving their opinions, giving a little bit back, talking about poker, sharing their excitement, sharing their knowledge, sharing their experience, and yeah, inspiring the next generation of players. So yeah, I'm glad to hear that he's at least dipping his toe in the water of sharing his story, sharing some content, because I think you saw from the chat that everybody was really excited to hear it.
For sure. It's I'm surprised. Like I was starting to really believe maybe I understand if somebody doesn't want to come on, but I was starting to believe maybe it might not happen with Davey as well. Like with Linus, because Linus unfortunately opted not to hang out, which I respect. But luckily for us, he did come on, and that was pretty cool. And I don't know if you heard, but
sure.
we have some great guests as well scheduled for the next few days. And one of them tomorrow is Munez, somebody that we haven't had even during the first Cash Game World Championship.
Yeah, that's very cool. I'll be tuning in for sure. I want to hear how a great mind like that thinks about the game. And yeah, I mean, it varies by person to person, right? It's an interesting. At the end of the day, we're all people, right? We have different personalities. Just some people are going to be really outgoing. I mean, we've had guys like Silama come on the stream, and
outgoing is one way to say it.
Yeah, and yeah, we've seen Jungle Man live streaming and raging his face off, and then we've got the calm and collected Davy Jones, and then there's the guys that don't really want to come on the stream. There's room for everybody.
Yeah,
for sure.
Welcome back, Zinhao. We got honorary Brazilian here in the call. It's Peaceful Journey. Do you know each other?
We do not, but yeah, é prazer, amigo. Tudo bom?
Nice. Tudo bem? É prazer.
I'm not actually Brazilian. I'm Scottish, but my fiance is Mineira, and I currently
nice.
I live in Vila Velha at the moment.
Live in Vila Velha? Nice.
Yes. So yeah, I've been here for about a year now, so I'm slowly getting used to the Brazilian lifestyle, and yeah, enjoying it very much. Love Brazil.
Very nice. Sorry, I didn't see, I was just disconnected from the other connection, and
no worries.
I just I kind of, I don't know if you presented yourself, but I lost. But you play cash games, Peaceful?
I do, yes. So a little bit lower stakes than the majority of these guys, kind of averaging out at 200 NL right now. This has kind of been my first calendar year of playing full time. I did play in the mid stakes championship when that was running, although it didn't go very well. I lost 10 buy-ins pretty quickly, but yeah, just been in poker for a long time. I worked previously for Run It Once when they were running their poker site, and then over the last year or so, decided to go full time as a player, and yeah, just working hard, learning a lot, and yeah, just trying to do my best to get better and move up the stakes.
Pretty cool, man. Congrats.
Appreciate it. And yeah, you guys have done a lot of good work over at I believe it's Metagame, right? Is the name of the organization, and yeah, plenty of we're starting to see the rise of the Brazilians. I mean, not Metagame's not purely Brazilians, but yeah, we're seeing more and more great players and come out of that organization and come out of Brazil in general, and you're a huge part of that. So congratulations to you.
Thanks a lot. Nice. Yeah, I hope you can see a lot.
Hajeb in the chat said, "R.I.P. Scotland in World Cup." What's happened?
You guys lost? The World Cup draw just happened, and Scotland are in the group with Brazil.
Yeah. Oh, stop!
Oh, really?
And who else?
Yeah. So it's God. Brazil. It's Brazil, Scotland, Morocco, and Haiti. or
Oh,
Haiti,
really?
however you pronounce
And
it.
Oh,
Yes.
someone
teams.
someone sent me in a group that was Brazil, Norway, Ghana, and Croatia. Like I don't know. I think that there
Uh,
was fake news.
that might have been like the what they were hoping for, easy group or hard group. I'm not sure, but
Yeah,
yeah, the,
hard
the
group,
real
I guess. Yeah, I think that was like worst case scenario. Maybe I misled the message. You know.
yeah, it's a pretty tough group. Morocco are a good team, and
Yeah.
yeah, you've got like
Hmm.
Brazil can come second to Scotland. That's fine by me. But
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah. Do you remember '98 or how old are you, man?
I well, I'm currently 29, so I was 2 years old in 1998.
Oh,
Yeah, do
you
So
you
don't
remember?
remember? I remember
unfor-
if I remember like if it was yesterday, man.
Me
Yeah.
too.
so
That's sick.
1998 was the first or was the last World Cup that Scotland were in, and
Yeah.
we were in the group with Brazil and Morocco again. So yeah,
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
it's going to be a repeat.
Who did
Hopefully
Scotland
not a repeat
beat
of the
again
result, but
to qualify?
it was Denmark. So
I mean, like,
yeah, they played the
Den-
final game. It was a pretty epic match.
yeah, Denmark is good, right? Like, if you beat Denmark, maybe against Morocco, it's possible. No,
Yeah, I mean, I
against Brazil, you're
Morocco
cooked.
are
But
a pretty
Morocco,
good. Yeah. Look, I mean, for Scotland, at the end of the day, I've spent my whole life watching Scotland try to qualify for a World Cup and failing, and now not only are we there, but we are in a group with the greatest footballing nation of all time, and
oh, you
yeah,
don't
it's
have
just going to
France
be
in
an honor
there.
to be there. And
But Brazil
yeah,
doesn't have a good team right now. I think things are gonna and Europeans like overall, even the ones that like Scotland that uh doesn't like appear in all of the World Cups, they're always tough, man. It's always tough. And nowadays like football is so tough and the levels are so close that it's gonna be tough for sure.
yeah, I mean, there's no easy games in the World Cup, but yeah,
Exactly.
it's going to be. The Brazilians and the Scottish fans have a very different mindset. The Scottish fans are like, if we go there and we get cooked 6-0 in every game, we're going to have the absolute time of our life. And
Hmm.
Brazilians are like, if they reach the final and lose 1-0, it's the biggest disappointment in the whole. Like everyone will get fired. It'll just be a
Yeah.
dramatic failure. So yeah, different outlooks on the event, but it should be fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Zinio, could I ask you, is there anything you can share about your stable? Because I don't know much about stables. I'm kind of like, new to
Yeah.
poker. Like, I'm pretty casual for like a very long time. So only recently have I started hearing
Hmm.
about stables. So like, like
Hmm.
how many coachings are there, like on average? Like, do you guys,
Okay.
do activities or like anything like you're willing to share?
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. So we built it in 2019. Nowadays, we have our main team that we call like Metagame Pro, and we have some subdivisions there. There's the Brazilian division, there's the World division. In the Brazilian division, for sure, everyone speaks Portuguese, and in the World division, uh, I don't know right now exactly, but we had like 20 nationalities that different in the team already. So there's a lot of guys from a lot of different countries, and we have so the Brazilian division, the World division, and we have our red division that we call that is our elite division. There are players that plays only 500 and all plus, and we have our foundation team. So basically, right now, I think the Metagame Pro have more or less 70 players, and the Foundation have also 70 players. So this is the Metagame staking no limit hold'em cash game, and we also develop it right now. Like this month, we're gonna start actually on Monday our activities. That is the Metagame MTT. That is only for MTT players. And yeah, like how it works, we have CFPs and we have stakings. Um, the more the better the guy, like a better deal he have. So we have a lot of different deals, and we have a lot of instructors. So we have, I think right now probably we have like 4 instructors for the Metagame Pro and Red. And me and Saulo, we were like kind of not giving classes lately, but one of our partners that is Luis Cirelli, like a crusher, he's the coach from the metagame Red, like Elite and Deluxe, high stakes player also. And we have a lot, like 4 more coaches probably for the foundation team. And we have also what we call CPP. There is like our research center and performance. So we have a bunch of engineers like developing our own softwares, our own papers and studies. So yeah, we invest a lot in technology and a lot in research overall. So yeah, basically this is the company. 140 players, a lot of divisions, a lot of instructors. Of course, we have an administrative part. We have everything that a normal company have, And yeah, basically it.
From what stakes are you guys taking players?
Like I think we get players like they are playing, I don't know, 2NL or 5NL, but normally they start playing at 5NL or maybe 10NL. I don't know by my head right now. But yeah, and we have players like till the highest stakes like Biluzin for example.
Okay, because you said only 70 and 70 players. So I felt like this might be
Yeah.
higher. Like if you take 2NL players, I feel like you should have 5,000 players, probably.
Yeah, no. No, but like our selective process is just for the guys that aim to be professionals. So we already had in our story had like 250 players, but it's tough to find people that are really engaged to like make it happen. So we basically like our selective process is pretty tough, and we have 70 players in the foundations. There are players that are starting at 10NL, players playing to 25NL, 50NL, and then we have like 70 players also in the pro team. But we are growing, because we are growing the foundation. We already made it big in the past, but we made it not in the right way. We got so many guys that didn't worth, like guys that wasn't putting the work and wanting to be a professional. And nowadays, we are way more rigid with it. So yeah, we are getting guys that wants to play professionally. So they can't make a good money playing micro stakes for sure, but if they are like committed to grow and etc., then we get those guys.
To bounce off of that real quick, I just wanted to quickly ask, because we see in other stables, we see coaching programs, stable programs. We've seen some very successful, stables or teams in poker, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Like even in this challenge, there's guys from BitB and
Mm-hmm.
maybe I know Prodigy works closely with Yuri and over at Gorilla Poker,
Mm-hmm.
and these kind of groups tend to be a little bit more focused on the higher stakes for already sort of established winning professionals. And then on the
Mm-hmm.
other side, there's stables like yourselves who take a lot of micro stakes players, or low stakes players, and they're still trying to become professional, but
Mm-hmm.
it can be quite difficult at that level. Obviously, it's a little bit easier if you're living in Brazil. The cost of living is a little bit lower, but I'm interested
Exactly.
in what you view as what are the unique challenges with running a stable that's a little bit more dedicated towards low and micro stakes players compared to if you were just focused on mid to high stakes guys that are already making a living. Like, do you have both in kind of the approach to teaching, and also maybe even the approach to the structure of the staking? Because I can imagine, if you're if you're coaching or staking microstakes players and they want to take it full time and be professional, we're starting to get into the amount of money where people also have to live, you know. They still have to actually feed themselves and pay rent. So I can imagine there's quite a lot of unique challenges there that perhaps the high stakes stables don't have to deal with. I'm wondering if you could elaborate on how you guys approach that.
No, for sure. Like, I think you made the right question. Like, it's an awesome question. And for example, I think the challenges are very different, because if you get guys, we still get guys like that are playing mid stakes and high stakes, and normally these guys are very, very, not very tough to deal, but some of them are very tough to deal. So they require a lot. Like they are very entitled in very manners. Like a lot of the guys that already comes with a story, so the guy already know he's a winner, so he wants to demand a lot of stuff. So those are the challenges that we have to deal with, the high stakes guys, and probably that the guerrilla guys have to deal with it also. And with the micro stakes guys, is a little bit of what I said before. So I think the secret is in the selecting the right people. So you said, for example, people need to make a living, but it depends on the spot that everyone is, you know. Like if you get a guy that have like 18 years old, 19 years old, live with his parents in the center of Brazil, and his living cost is like $200 a month. This guy have like 5 years to burn basically in their lives to try to be a professional. And if he earns like 3K USD, he will be like top 5% of his country. So for example, this guy have way more time to try out than a guy that have like 35 years, 3 kids, and like 6 months of expenses saved, you know. So it really depends on selecting the right people. A lot of the secret is in also leaving the guys that are not making good, not even for us and not even for him, you know. So I had several cases of guys that said like, hey, I want to try, but I want to try poker playing 25 NL, and I have like 6 months savings, and I need, I don't know, 2K to live. Like, it's gonna be way harder for you, you know. So we have a lot of experience already. I think like in metagame, we already had, I don't know, maybe 500 players overall, like that passed through our community. So we have a lot of experience already in selecting the right people, and those are the challenges, you know. But I would say the best deal is to get the guys that are very promising and that still like are playing micro stakes, because the guys that plays high, for example, looks like a pretty good deal, you know, like Owen and Yuri, for sure they're making a great work, but they're gonna get like a guy that plays 500 NL, 1K NL. First of all, you have to give a pretty good deal for this guy, from this guy for the stretch. This guy comes with a lot of how do I say? I think, let me translate this. This guy comes with a lot of defects, you know, that he have like 10 years of career. He doesn't want to change one thing that he made like for his whole career. So it's way harder for you to change some leaks that those guys have, that a young guy that you can make him from the stretch, you know. So our best players nowadays are the guys that we made from the stretch, and Pedro is one of them. So it's a business that takes way longer, for sure. Like, it's a long run business, but it's a business that will pay out for you in 3, 4, 5 years, because you gotta get like guys with full potential, guys that don't have like mental leaks, guys that will follow what you say, guys that are very, very, very in your culture. So basically, I would say those are the secrets of this type of business that we see.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's really interesting. Yeah, very. Yeah, it's very very cool to to hear those thoughts. It's yeah, I'm interested to see what the landscape of online poker looks like in the next few years because yeah, I think
Mm-hmm.
as you've described, even when you were on the call with Johan, in countries like Brazil, and
Mm-hmm.
there's other countries with low costs of living as well, where we see a lot of good
Yeah.
poker players, places like Belarus and Russia, where
Uh-huh.
like you say, you can live on less than $1,000 a month, and therefore you can make a much easier living from online poker compared to where I'm from in the UK or the US, where it can be getting tougher. So it'll be interesting to see how that changes. Do you find that there's a big difference in you guys' approach between coaching the higher stakes guys and the way you approach coaching the lower stakes guys, or do you think is it the same principles but just kind of continuing the same process, or do you find that the higher stakes guys you have to be more about theory and the low stakes guys you have to be more about MDA and exploits, or the other way
Mm-hmm.
around?
I would say, yeah, it's definitely different. And our careers was kind of about it. I basically started to do MDA like in 2017, I guess, 25 NL. But I was always a guy that went a lot for theory also. So we basically teach both right from the stretch. But of course, you can deviate and you can be way more simple as you play lower. Then, of course, it increases a lot of complexity when you rise up stakes. So I would say, yeah, our approach is way different. And especially like, I would say simple, you start like very, very simple, but you teach a lot about everything. So it's like if it was by layers. Like you can explain everything for a player, but you go easy on it and you focus a little bit more in, hey, just do simple, like hear me out. Don't try to invent anything. Don't try to be so much creative because you're playing like 10 NL or 25 NL. Just be very simple, gain money, rise the stakes, and once you get like versus villains that are way better, then you will need to be adding a little bit more of complexity. So it's a little bit of what we do. So we start simple, but we start right from the stretch, teaching a lot of theory, and we always did that. There's kind of a misconception in the market that I see, like from how people perceive us, like, oh, metagame, uh, guys like Zinhão and Saulo used to study and used to follow Nick Howard, and they like go for full exploits with MDA. Like this couldn't be wrong. This couldn't be more wrong. And we have some players that are some of our players that are in the chat that they can confirm that we always teach how MDA works, how simplifications works, for you to gain a little bit more, for you to gain in your execution and not adding complexity. Because like poker is super complex, and if you start to, oh, I'm gonna be playing like 2 sizings on the flop, 3 sizings on the turn, and you for sure will mess it up, like in execution. So if you do simple and execute it pretty well, probably will be better for you, especially when you don't understand theory the way you think you do. So it's basically it. Yeah, I see kind of a difference. There's a place that is basically from 200 now to 500 that nowadays, with like the games being with more players in the games and the games being like more inflation, I would say it's going a little bit later, maybe from 500 to 1K. You need to take a little bit more care about it. But I would say, yeah, like once you're playing micro stakes, low stakes, and the start from mid stakes, you should be like approaching poker in a very, very simple way, you know?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And to what would your message be to the kind of 25NL sort of players that are starting to take poker seriously, that are watching this, and they want to get better, they want to improve, they want to move up the stakes? What would you say are
Mm-hmm.
either some of the key mistakes that they're making, maybe even in their approach to playing and studying? And do you think that they should be the first thing that should be seeking out a coach or a community like yourselves? I mean, I know you're going to be, it's a very biased result that you'll have, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, what mistakes do you see these guys making in their approach? Because I know you've coached hundreds of players. Like, what do you see as the number one three, or the top three things to change about a player's approach that's going to bring them from being a 25NL poker enthusiast to a 100, 200NL poker professional?
Awesome, nice. Yeah, there are a lot of things for sure, but what I would say that kind of let the guys struggling for so long, and what kills people basically in their poker journey, I would say the first of all is lack of patience. So people start at 25NL, the guy like sees some sims, the guy understands some concept, and he thinks like he's kind of entitled to think that right away he's like he deserves to win, and he will win like pretty quick. And like that's very, very the opposite of it. And I want to shout out also to my partner Max Lacerda, and he is the CEO of our foundation team. And one big change, a big change that we made this year, like it was in the middle of the year. We have like our tiers by we have our tiers for sure starting by the stakes that the player plays. But even though he move up in stakes, he not necessarily move ups in tiers, because we understood in like this whole journey that there are several things that takes time. You know, some guys can boost that by playing a lot, studying a lot. But even though like I used to play way more and study way more than I do right now, but just being in touch with poker like for so long, just like coaching poker, seeing poker, being older, and like there are a lot of things that you just understand when the time comes, you know? So you can boost this by playing a lot, as I said, but there are a lot of things that are gonna take a lot of time, you know? So if you are pretty anxious, like, oh, hey, I need to play high stakes in 3 years or 2 years or 4 years, maybe you're gonna make it, but it's not the standard. And don't be so anxious about it, you know? Like your time will come, just do your work, enjoy poker, like be curious about it, that you're gonna make it, you know? So this would be the first, like lack of patience. The second would be like that it will take time, you know, like for you to masterize poker, for you to understand a game that is super complex. And I always say that people always say like, hey, I'm a 200 NL player. Oh, I'm a 500 NL players. There's like 200 NL players and 200 NL players, you know? For example, you can say, I don't know, who is the best football player in the world. We can say like Lamine Yamal or Mbappe's first division player, and we can say like some random bench guy from, I don't know, Alaves or some random team. He's also a first division player, you know, but they have a very different type of understanding. So it's not because you came to a place like, oh, now I play 200 NL. You're not gonna be like snap like instantaneously as good as the guy that is playing 200 NL for 5 years, you know. So there are very different levels, even in the same NL. You are not players from the same ability. Like there's a very big difference, even in the players that plays the same limit. So this is something that I always like to teach the guys. And for the guys that are starting right now, I hear that especially here in Brazil, I hear that poker is dead like since 2011. Like poker is dead, you can't beat it anymore, etc. And you're basically in the best period of always to study poker. Like look how many tools you have. Look like all of the intelligence that we have. Look all the softwares that are available for you. Look all the free content. Like YouTube. I was watching a video by Lucky Johnson yesterday, and it was like so good, so good. So it's just free content. Like you have access to it. And people say, oh, there's a lot of free content available. Everyone is going to be good. Everyone is going to be solid. GTO Wizard is going to be there for everyone. You pay $100 and you have like access to all the sims. And I think it's the opposite, because this will make even bigger gaps between the guys that are really putting the work that the guys that are like, oh yeah, I saw a sim in GTO Wizard today. I already learned it. So the guys that really want to make it, I think, is the period of the time that you gotta make it like the quicker than the guys that came before you, and you are in the best period of our existence.
Yeah, it's the time where almost the path to becoming a very, very good poker player has never been clearer. But the problem is it's also clear to everyone else. So it means there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be trying to do that, and they're going to be going about it the same way. And the only way that you're going to succeed instead of them is if you work harder.
But but the cake is bigger also. Like the piece of cake you're gonna get is also bigger. Like the whole cake, poker is being bigger. Like, man, I'm not a professional since ever, but I was in poker like in 2006, 2007, and it's just growing everywhere. Like I was in Vegas, for example, like a lot of tournaments everywhere. Here in Brazil, there's like cash games running everywhere. A lot of new sites. So the cake is getting bigger. So yeah, of course, there's gonna be even better guys with the same tools that you have access. There's no like nothing new that you can come with, but it also like there's more players, more recreational players finding the game every day. So yeah, my vision was always very, very optimistic, looking in front, and I just saw this getting every time bigger.
Yeah, it's very true. It's never been easier to get into poker, to get into studying poker, and yeah, we're seeing more and more of these events popping up and players coming up. How do you see the Brazilian poker scene right now? Because I think historically Brazil has always been a big part of poker. There's always been many players. I would say probably primarily throughout lower stakes for kind of obvious reasons, but we are starting to see more and more high stakes Brazilian players. You've got guys like Yuri Jivalevsky in the tournament world. You've got now Biluzin and Doblo playing in this challenge. Where do you see the Brazilian poker scene going in the next few years? Do you think that we're going to see this trend continue of more Brazilian players popping up at high stakes?
Yeah, I think it's a trend. Of course, we would have to compete also, so it kind of depends on the other countries and etc. But it was always rising, and for example, now we had our biggest live event. You that lives here, you probably know about it, but talking for the audience, That was the BSOP, that is Brazilian Series of Poker, and I'm even with their numbers. So we had 106 tournaments. We had for the first time ever, we had a 100K USD tournament. We had 135 reais in prizes, so it's like 25 million. So it was the biggest of our history. Poker here in Brazil is rising a lot, and one thing that I think is so cool is that a lot of the a lot of guys from other countries are coming here to play. So we had players from 47 different countries in this version of BSOP, that is the BSOP Millions, and we had like very big names. For example, Martin Cabral was here. We had a lot of very good tournament players, and I do think that this will just rise. You know, the reason that I was talking to you on is that Brazil started somewhat soon in the tournaments, and we never went so high in the stakes because I think the incentives are really not there. Because in Brazil, if you play, like, if you earn 3K USD or 2K USD, you're kind of pretty well in comparison to the rest of society. So it's not like if you live in Switzerland and if you earn like 5K USD or like under average. So you have to hunt for more, you know? Like you have to, like, no, and I need to make like 10K USD a month or 20K USD a month. So this was one thing that I think overall kind of stopped Brazilians overall, that hunting too much for high stakes. But as you said, like, even like that, we are seeing a lot of us playing, especially in MTTs, they're playing high stakes because there are like way more people from the community playing tournaments. So we started this back there, me and Saulo, with the stable, and now we see, for example, other stables. We basically, from 5 years to now, we were the only stable in the country. So now we have some other good competitors that are making the market grow, and I have no doubt that other high stakes cash game players will come. And there's another pretty funny detail. I was talking to you on how Brazil is, how live cash games are in Brazil, just in poker rooms, super high rake. And another thing that kind of killed No Limit Hold'em is that I think the last from, I don't know, 2015 to 2023, there was basically only PLO 5 games live. You know, you didn't find No Limit Hold'em cash game live in Brazil. It was like super crazy, and now it became a trend again, especially because of Neymar. The Neymar loves to play, so everyone, like a lot of famous guys that have money, just wants to do the same thing that Neymar does. So Neymar kind of started a wave of No Limit Hold'em cash game in the country again. Thanks, Neymar, because of that. And just because of that, you can see even on GG, for example, that is the main site nowadays that have cash games. You can see that there are a lot of PLO Brazilian players. You know, PLO 5. There are some guys playing high stakes because it was incentivized here back there. So because No Limit Hold'em is being incentivized again, we are growing. We have some other guys playing high stakes. I would say from now on, you're gonna see an increase of it.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, that's very random about PLO 5 being big in Brazil. You do hear these stories sometimes of just certain communities getting into certain games. You've talked about other countries and other stables. Who would you say is the biggest rival to the Brazilians in the player pools or in the stable world? I know there's like a little contingent of Spanish players that seem to be doing well, and yeah, I'm interested if there's any other stables that the metagame guys are like, we need to take these guys down.
Yeah, when we talk about like rivals or like business models that are somewhat similar to ours, I think B2B is like pretty good at high stakes. We always had the competition, but like we even collaborated in some things with Poker Detox. They kind of changed their business model right now, but we see, for example, Nacho make a pretty good work. Um, Poker Risky make a pretty good work, but they are more focused in the segregated pools like Canada, for what I know. But we have pretty good guys. Probably Guerrilla could be a guys, but I don't think they compete. Because they're kind of focused on high stakes. They don't make what we do, that is like to develop the player right from the scratch. So, but I'm pretty cool with it. Like I don't see this as being bad, because I think overall you if you have good competitors, you make market growth with professionalism. So this ended up being good for you, because imagine if we have like metagame being pretty good, but you have like 10 super bad stakes. What will happen? People will say, hey, stake is pretty bad, don't do that. They will have a bad time in trusting that you are good. You even see some, and I see this, like the Brazilian community is very different from the world community in this. You even saw someone in the chat saying, hey, if you're paying for coaching at 550 NL, that's a waste. We always saw this type of narrative, which I totally disagree with. I think this is definitely not true. But in the worldwide community, you always saw this behavior, like, hey, you're gonna pay 50% of your profits, blah blah blah. People can't see that with staking and coaching, you would play higher than you can play than you can play right now. You're gonna receive like something that is professional. Like we have, for example, a research center. We have engineers studying the game. So you're gonna be um, fulfilled with a lot of technical stuff, and you make a contract. If you get better, imagine you play 100 NL right now and you earn 50K a year. If you play 200 NL and you make 100K a year, you still make, like, for a 50% deal, you still made the 50K, but you gain all the knowledge and you are free. You're kind of free to go, you know? So I definitely disagree with all of these narratives. And this comes probably from deals that were made in the past that were bad, you know? So if you have a bad if you have a bad competition that is not professional, that don't make good deals, that make people don't want that, then you're gonna have a problem. That is basically what the world markets about CFPs and cash games or stakings on cash games pass through. But here in Brazil, if you, for example, stables, I think we have more or less 80 stables of MTTs. Some of stables, you live here, you probably know it, but you have like 5 to 10 stables that have from 300 to 500 players each. So everyone have this culture because the work that was made was good, basically. So people, not only because of it, of course, it's not like it's not for sure this, but if you have a lot of companies making good work, developing it to players being satisfied with it, then you're gonna have a growth of this market. That's the way I see things.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It's interesting when, yeah, because I see this kind of messaging a lot from people that, there's so much free content out there. You should paying for whether it's coaching or courses or whatever. People saying this is a scam, that's a scam, and
Mhm.
I think for some reason in poker, everybody tries to get something for free. I don't know if it's just I don't know if it's just the culture or if it's just maybe it comes from back in the day of like when all these sites had lots of free rolls and games were really soft, and like you had so many stories of professional poker players that just deposited $10 and then that was it. They made millions.
They got
It's
$50
not really
from
like
Poker
that.
Strategy. And that's
Yeah,
what I
Yeah.
exactly. So
I was one of it.
yeah, so I don't know if there's these stories have remained where people don't really want to invest in themselves or invest in coaching or strategy, but you know, in other industries this is normal, right? Like if you think of in certain countries where university is not free, people spend, you know, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars, if not more, to get an education to then make more later on. And
Yeah, exactly.
kind of the same equation with poker, right? You give up half your winnings for a year or two, and then if that gives you the knowledge to make more money and move up in stakes, then you make way more money and you pay for that coaching and more in the time that you've saved. It's yeah, it
Exactly,
always
and
makes sense.
people basically agree to pay way more for way longer time, like in universities and stuff like that. And like in poker, is way quicker. It gives you basically normally it gives you even more money and quicker. You know, like one contract or two, like 1 year and a half, 2 years. If you're gonna make like two contracts, it could be like 3 years or 4 years. You know, so it's generally less time. Uh, you're making and normally what happened, we even made these calculations back there with some contracts, and there was a time when we had a lot of how do I say, we had a lot of guys that were like kind of not against it, but they were kind of doubting it. And we proved it to them and even input it in the contract, like that they would make like more than they are doing by themselves. You know, that's basically it. Like you have to do
Yeah.
when you sign up staking or coaching for profits or something like that, have to make more than normally you make more than you were, and you even like gain all the knowledge free roll for you, you know. And I think also one thing that are less mentioned, and this one of the things that we developed pretty good here in Brazil, especially, is the community. You know, so you have a good community, you have someone to back you up, like someone that are in the same stuffs that you are. That is not even I'm not talking not even about your instructors or coaches or etc. But like your friends that are living the same stuff that you're living. You know, this is pretty good in a profession that you're basically playing by your own, something that is very lonely, and you have a community. Like the power of community is pretty good. But yeah, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it comes up time and time again with whether it's players who have came on the stream to give their thoughts or, you know, other podcasts and interviews. It comes up as a common story from the top guys that their community or their group, they had a group of players that they studied with, or group of friends that they lived with, or people that helped them out at one point in their career or another. They talk about how important this was to them getting to where they are. I think it's pretty rare that you see a guy who's made it to high stakes who doesn't have some kind of a crew. Like it happens,
Yeah.
but it's quite it's probably quite an outlier, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in one way or another, you will have to like invest a little bit, at least like organize yourself with your teammates or study group or whatever, and like invest a little bit in knowledge. Because what I see also, we are talking about like new tools coming up. We are talking about new type of games like coming up in the apps, for example, Squid Game, Sushi, or etc. Or the Rake is different, or whatever. Or in the entities that you have like a bunch of different dynamics. What I see nowadays is that the run is the run. Yeah, the race would be basically the race of who have the best information, who have the best technology, who invested more in research, because yeah, you have like GTO Wizard, like for $100 for everyone. Yeah, you make some node locks, you understand this, you understand that, but poker there's like way more, like to research, to understand what exploitatively you could do here, you could do there, what works more than here than there. So I see a really big benefit for you to be for you to invest, and the biggest amount you can invest to understand things and gain an edge, then these guys probably will win the race,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
We had a couple comments in the chat, questions, I believe, for you specifically, Jinhao. HDP, who I believe currently plays No Limit 25 and No Limit 50, he asked, as a coach, what makes a poker player special? What talent distinguishes players? And can those talents be developed, or are they natural?
Nice. Pretty good question. I think it was when I was talking about Pedro Toledo, Biluzin. And I kind of already said some stuffs, but what talent distinguishes players, and can those talents be developed, or they're natural? I think like to be a super crusher, to be like one of the best, I really think some of the things unfortunately are natural. There is like guys, like the guys that have like super good like IQ will have more chances that of being like a super good at poker. But of course, like the guys that have a background in games, for example, Pedro was always like a guy that played Age of Empires, I think. A guy that likes to be a lot of time in front of his computer. I think one thing that people don't talk too much is like temperament. I think it changes a lot. I saw Patrick Howard talking about it some days ago, and I totally agree with it, that in poker, you have to have the skill of doing kind of the same things over and over again for a long time. And for example, a poker grind, especially what we are seeing here in the challenge. If you see like Pedro, if you see Davey, those are the guys that they are not like being super fancy, super news, inventing some weird lines. They're just like playing very solid poker over and over again without tilting, And a lot of guys are tilting a lot, So I think a lot of the skill is by you just like showing up every day, doing the same boring stuffs over and over again. So this is so hard skill to have, like so hard skill to have. But yeah, all of those stuffs that will be like being repetitive, like consistency, having a lot of patience, don't like yeah, consistency, patience, showing up every day, doing what you do, studying, those things, working a lot for sure, and being very smart. Then those guys are the crushers,
I do think personally it's possible to flip a switch, and like it doesn't have to be that extreme. But like for example, I don't know if you know David Goggins. He was not athletic at all. He was very unfit, and then from one day to another, he just starts running, and he runs absurd amounts, and gets very sick at first, but then he just kind of keeps on pushing his body and his mind past the limit that's like of what's physically possible. He gets into the Navy SEAL training and all that. So I do think from one day to another, you could technically flip a switch, but that's like for you to make that happen. If it hasn't happened yet, like, there is a chance like maybe you were going at your own speed, and it's like that for everyone and kind of like for everything. Like some people, they're content going through life and like going to work and then, you know, having some activities and then never really trying hard on something. Because that's the thing. It feels like if you want to succeed in poker, you do need to try hard to a certain level, right? To an extent. And that's what some of these guys, I think, were able to do very well. They decided that, you know, it was maybe not quite life or death, but, you know, in a way that they were going to try very hard. So would you agree, like, it's possible to, like, from one day to another for somebody to be like, you know what, I'm going to be very dedicated to this from now. I haven't yet, but if I really want to get it, then I have to get after it?
So, yeah, sick question, man. I think you made a pretty good appointment. But about David, I'm not so familiarized with his story, but I think he wasn't fit at all. But he was always like a guy that was extremely focused and dedicated in other stuff, right? For what I heard.
I don't know. I listened to his biography, and like, he was literally like he was like a roach cleaner. So he would go in restaurants at night and he would like spray to like clean the roaches. And he was like, I don't know how many pounds, but he was huge basically. And he was drinking like a non-stop diet or Coke, whatever. So yeah, he was like completely unfit initially. And then he decided that he was going to do some running thing. And then he just ran for an absurd amount. And obviously he got like really sick because like he was just too unfit and never ran usually. And then from that day onwards, he just trained like absolutely crazy. He lost like a ridiculous amount of weight. And then he decided to enroll and try to do the Navy SEAL training. So initially, no, he wasn't dedicated at all. He was just like in this really bad routine. And then from one day to another, flip switched, and he just like became this almost this different person.
Yeah, I thought he was like more in the mood. For example, let's take an example. There was another guy that I think he was like a grandmaster in chess, and then he decided to become an athlete, and he became a, I don't know, taekwondo super good guy, something like that.
Okay.
So I think those changes are easier. Like imagine that I'm a guy and I'm really good at poker and I'm really focused, but I don't know, I'm super fat and I'm not in the gym at all. And then I change a little bit and say, hey, I'm gonna be very focused on this right now, and change. And because this guy, to begin with, he was already a guy that were very focused on something, you know, he just changing the subject. I think is way easier than a guy that is like completely lazy, like don't like smoking weed every day, don't you know, like don't want anything with anything, doesn't want to work, and then he suddenly say, hey, now I'm gonna be like the guy that I'm gonna be doing everything. I think this is pretty rare, man. If it exists, this, like, I don't see this happening too much. I saw some guys that had some work ethic but wasn't too good and gaining a little bit of maturity, like some guys that were kind of lost in their lives, and then he got like a super good wife, and then like you know, his wife changed him a little bit.
Yeah.
So I saw some of those small changes, and I think this could work. But like suddenly changing from like water to wine, I think it's pretty rare. I don't know the story of David Goggins. So I'm gonna research about it. I'm gonna do a search about it. But yeah, if this is the case, this is really impressive because I heard what he's been doing, and it's indeed like super crazy.
Then do you not believe, like, if we were to compare poker to exercise, right? Like somebody, there's so many stories of people that didn't really exercise much. Then from one day to another, they were like, all right, no more. And then they just started going hard and they got like very, very fit. Technically, you know, poker has similarities with that, right? In that, like, you need to do the work and studying and all that. Of course, it might be more difficult to figure out than how to lift heavy weights, right? You just need to learn the form for that. So maybe it's easier in a way. But at the end of the day, there is no shortcut. You have to do the work for both. And we hear about so many other stories. So I do feel like for poker, maybe like this emulates a little bit. And like if somebody really switched their mind to like a life or death thing, or like, you know, where they just basically really want to try hard, I do think it's possible. I don't know. That's my opinion as someone that's like, you know, I've always wanted to be fitter and have a six pack, but I've never put in the work to do it. But I feel like one day I might, like recently I started training and I've been training a lot and improving my diet, but step by steps. I'm not quite yet at the level where I can say like, okay, in 6 months I'll have a six pack, but I think I'm on the road, you know?
Yeah, I think it is, but is what I already said. Like, though this is way easier to happen if the guy were able to be very, not obsessed, but to be very focused and disciplined in something, you know. For example, I'm not very fit, but I'm like very good in my work. I'm very disciplined, etc. And you're inputting your efforts in this. Like, if you start to like sweeping to do what you do in your work, that you're very focused, disciplined, do it pretty well. If you start to do that to gym, for example, I have no doubt that you're gonna be well succeed, you know. But a guy that never did that in anything, started like sweeping something from the stretch, I think it's pretty hard. But I also think it has a lot to do with temperament, you know. I don't know if you guys are familiarized with like I don't know from who it is, but the theory of the four different temperaments. And I see like the guys that have this obstination in something, guys that have this temperament of being like more obsessed, that go more for the results. Those guys are easy to being able, but I think what you said is correct. Like, yeah, if I have the discipline, if I put the work and I decide, no, I'm gonna be good at poker, and you have this powerful, then I'm pretty sure you're gonna be good at poker. But I think in you will have, if you're not like very smart, if you're not like top level of consistency, and you don't have some skills like at the highest level, then I think you're gonna cap at some time. Like, you will be very good, but you probably not gonna be like top 10 or top 50 or something, you know.
Okay, yeah.
There's also I feel like there's a funny thing that happens sometimes when you gain some experience and gain some success in whatever discipline. It tends to be a bit of an exponential curve of success where you don't really get very much for a long time, and then it seems to come quickly. So therefore, whatever it was you were doing at the later stage, before or maybe during or just after you had the success, you start to think, okay, that's what was actually important. Whereas really, maybe all that time spent doing something else, or building your skills, maybe that was necessary as well, you know. Like, we see it from poker players a lot, or where, you know, they were grinding 500 NL or 200 NL Zoom for years and years, and then they talk about how they got a new coaching regimen or a new coach, or they started meditating, or they started doing flashcards, and then they got to high stakes, and it was like, yeah, maybe that did help, but maybe also it just added on to the experience that you'd already gained from all those years of grinding, you know. And I think sometimes it can be a little bit our brain works in interesting ways, where we start to assign certain importance to some things in our lives or in our experience that are maybe not as important. There's a lot of survivor bias and who gets successful and who doesn't. But yeah, I mean, I think the bottom line, the patience and perseverance that you were sharing, is the bottom line, right? I think, and I think especially in poker, we start to think, and maybe in gaming as well, because we start to see guys that are quite young doing very well. It's easy to think that you can just acquire this ability over only a year or two, or that people have some kind of like unique natural talent. But if you look at whether it's sports or chess or whatever, oftentimes the top guys, they've just been doing it for usually 10 years or more, you know. Like, even Davy Jones was talking about grinding. He was a professional since 2014, but only really took to around about 2020 before he started playing high stakes. You've got, you know, whether it's a tennis player, Roger Federer or whoever, he probably was playing since the age of 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever. You have Magnus Carlsen became a grandmaster at 12, but it probably wasn't a world champion until 19. I might be off on dates, but
Yeah, or
you know,
even
there's
there's some stuff we find out about later, right? Like nowadays when we hear about like LeBron James and Cristiano Ronaldo's, like how much they invest into their body and like all their training routines and stuff. It's nuts, like the level that they do this at. Like on the surface, people might think, oh, they're really talented, you know, like things worked out for them. But no, like they invested like incredible amounts into this.
Yeah, it's like you work for years to become an overnight success. I feel like that happens quite a lot. And I think I want to say it was the book Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell, where he looked into this of exceptional people or exceptional communities. And I think they looked at, I can't remember if it was Ethiopian or Kenyan marathon runners. And people used to think that, oh, maybe Kenyans are have some kind of genetic gift that makes them good at marathon running. But really, when they actually looked into it, it was that a lot of Kenyan runners came from a specific region of a specific town where it was very common for them to run to school in the morning. Like, and that really at the base of it, it was just deliberate practice for years and years. When these guys started training for marathons, they'd already had 10 years under their belt of daily running. And these stories happen over and over again of people think that there's some kind of natural talent, but really there was just some hidden level of dedicated practice that just takes you to it. So whether you have a natural talent or you have some kind of hidden experience that will help you in poker, whether that's you played games from a young age, that might give you a little bit of a head start because you've got some kind of experience in terms of dedicating yourself or strategical thinking or whatever. But at the end of the day, whether it's poker or anything else, if you want to get to the top 5%, 1%, you're going to have to put in many, many hours, years of dedicated practice and effort. There's not really a way around that at the end of the day.
It's the same as the Dagestanis in the UFC. They're wrestling bears from a very young age, you know. They're very good wrestlers.
They have even not even that, right? Because they're pretty good wrestlers, and they fight that thing, call it combate sambo, you know?
Yeah, sambo, yeah.
Sambo, yeah. So it's like a small MMA. So they're like into it like pretty young, yeah.
Yeah, that was.
This is why Scottish adults are so good at drinking. You know, we've had practice.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Here in Brazil, we're kind of good on it also, this matter.
Really? What was the national liquor or drink that you guys have?
We had, actually, I think more, the vast majority of Brazilians drink a lot of beers, indeed. But our national liquor is cachaça, you know?
Is that what's in Caipirinha?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah. I don't think I've tried.
It's made of how does it call in England? Sugarcane.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very delicious. And yeah, if you're ever in Rio, there's you can go to some cachaça bars and they'll do. I don't even really know if all of these are technically cachaça, but you'll get like different flavors of cachaças and stuff as well, like different doses, and it's very fun to try them all.
So you have a few cheeky ones here and there, Peaceful?
Yeah, from time to time.
Nice.
HDP? Can I ask you guys something?
Yeah, go ahead.
So we were looking into the leaderboard, and apparently TaxHere came back today, right? Do you know how he did?
No, he didn't play yesterday, but like we don't know. So the update happened like 12 hours ago, and so
no, but today someone told me he was playing today. Is this?
Oh, yeah, he played a little bit earlier. Yeah, he was at the table. But at the latest update, he hadn't played. Like you can see, I'm showing on the stream right now. You can see day 25 EV. You can see both Biluzin and TaxHere didn't play. But that update happened this morning at 11 a.m. And right now it's 11 p.m. So exactly 12 hours ago. But now a few hours ago I saw him.
When it ends, it's like in Sunday, but you know at what time it
1
will
a.m.
end?
UK time. Sorry, midnight UK time. So 1 a.m. CET. Like Brazil is -6 from here, right?
-6. Yeah, it's
From
like 7
CET.
p.m. right now.
Yes. So yeah, it will be 7 p.m. for. No wait, it's 7 p.m. right now.
Yeah,
Okay, so 9 p.m. I think then Brazil.
9 p.m. on Sunday. It's over.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. We thought Kevin wouldn't come back, but apparently he did.
Yeah, well, we can try and see the big pots actually. Like I can literally filter because I had all tables open, so I can filter by pot size, and then some pots, if they happened too long ago, I cannot open them because they kind of expired in the replayer. But if you played a big one, we can go back over it and see what happened. Let me see if I can find something. HDP, by the way, did follow up with a question about. Well, let me scroll up a bit. He said, "At what stakes would you suggest new players to join the stable?"
Every time, man. Like we have people from even 5NL to 10K NL, so we have a pretty good, pretty solid, and pretty good structure for everyone. So yeah, everyone is welcome to join. Especially like our friend in the call, Peaceful Journey. If you wanna try out, he said he's playing 200 and also he's more than welcome to try out metagame. Send 2-3 years metagame and forget. Someone said, like MrLumberjack, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in that interesting situation at the moment where I feel like I'm in that middle ground where I wish I had joined a stable 5 years ago, but now I'm sort of full time and giving away, but I'm also not at high stakes, so I'm at that stage where giving away half my winnings would really hurt right now. So it's like it's a weird sort of situation for me, and I'm also getting married next year, so I need to I need to save some money. So
Nice, congratulations.
yeah, appreciate it.
Let's
So
go.
I don't know, maybe I'll be in contact
Yeah,
towards the middle of next year or something. I don't
yeah,
know what
sure.
team I would join. Maybe I got to improve my Portuguese a little bit more before I can hop in the
Yeah,
Portuguese team.
but we have our English division that is called World and Metagame Red. I think we have 27 players by my head, if I recall correctly. And those 27, I think like 1/3 is by foreigners. Yeah, I have 1/3, and all of the things happens in English. But yeah, we have a lot of Brazilians also. You could improve your English, and we also have an MTT stable right now, and our players will have access to understand MTTs, maybe playing some series, playing on Sundays. So this is something that we are pretty happy about it also.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing how they perform. It was a bit of an oversight not calling. You need to call the foreigner team Team Gringo. Why not?
Yeah, also, yeah.
Missed out.
It's nice. And one of the most nice stuffs that we have been living is that we have some guys that are with us like for more than 6 years, and we are meeting them in person. So we had Robin, that is a guy that is with us like for 6 years. He's an Irish guy. He's our instructor also from our world team, and he was with us for the first time in the metagame meeting. We made like 2 years, 2 days in a how do I say shakara in English? I don't know. My God, but
Like
we
a
made
little sort of, I guess, farmhouse or kind of
yeah
it kind of renting a
country
villa in the
house, yeah.
countryside type of thing.
Yeah. So we made a meeting, like more than 80 players went there. And last year we how do I say, man? Sorry for my bad English. We brought Alan, that is an Irish guy that are with us for a long time. Krasimir, there is a Bulgarian guy. All of them to Met Brazil. We have some Peruvians that came also, and this year we brought Robin. We wanted to brought Daniele, that is an Italian guy that also play high stakes. But at the end of the day, he had some problems with his passport. But yeah, those are the things that really makes us happy, like to meet people from all around the world, to be able to bring this guy to know each other in person, to know Brazil. So all of this community is something that we are very, very proud of it.
Yeah, it's very cool. The social aspect of poker is one of the best parts. Have you guys ever thought about doing like the grindhouse thing, or have you ever done that? I know that
Yes.
I want to say Fedor Holtz's crew sort of did that once or twice. But yeah, you ever done the kind of, this was a big thing in the gaming world, at least back in the day, like the kind of, you have the 6 or 7 guys who are all trying to become professionals or are professionals, all living and working and grinding together. I don't know if that's something that you would explore.
Awesome subject, because we were talking about it like few days ago. The subject came up in our meeting, and some of the guys already did by themselves, like to meet each other and stay like from a week or something together grinding. One thing we did is me, Saulo, Max, that is our partner, Luis Tirelli, that is our partner also, and then Rodrigo Motoki, Tomanari, and Artur, like 3 of some of our best players. We went to the same house in Vegas, so we grinded out there, like cash games, tournaments. So we did that, but not much online grind. And Vegas is always tough because you always have a little bit of play, little bit of fun, little bit of drinking. So it's not something very focused, but we are discussing about it, and I think this is an awesome idea, man. I think this is really, really something that can boost a lot your learnings if you're like in with someone in person, like living together, discussing hands and doing stuffs. I think this is very, very good. As you said, like Federer did that with, what's the name, Poker Code, guys. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they did that. I remember. I think you're too young to remember that, but I don't know if you remember 2 Months to Millions, guys.
I do. I probably
You
watched
did?
it long after it came out, but yeah,
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
classic. That's came up on stream
yeah,
before. That's some legendary poker content for anyone watching. If you want to Google 2 Months 2 Million after the stream, it's
yeah.
some pretty
It
good
is.
viewing and some names that are still around. Guys like
Yeah,
Lucky Chewy, still in the mix.
super cool. So yeah, I think it's an awesome idea. We never did anything like that, but we definitely need to do it. We will definitely do it for sure. There was one of the biggest tables in Brazil that is 4Bet Poker Team. They did that like in 2010, and it's super crazy because they did this called Poker Villa, that is like Poker Village in English. And if you see like the lineup of the guys that were there, it's, I don't know if it's coincidence or anything like that, but it was like Yuri, Thiago Crema, Fabiano Kowalski, Rafael Moraes, like all of the crushers, all the guys that become like super crushers after were the guys that were in that thing. So I don't know if it was a coincidence or if it was something that really contributed to their careers. Because I think they made like a year or something like that. Everyone together in the same house.
Yeah, I'm kind of you hear it happening in poker, like you hear of. I think even when Fedor was sort of coming up with I think the Germans had like some kind of house for 3 months or something, and they were playing and studying together. But like, my understanding is this is very common in like the gaming world, where I mean, even going back to the old days of the Koreans all living in a grindhouse to get good at StarCraft, like this happens quite often. It seems to make sense. I don't know if it's because poker has, it's sort of always the players that are kind of paying for everything. There's no sponsors, there's no big company that's going to come in and set up a grindhouse for you, so you kind of have to do it more yourself. But I can see this becoming more of a common thing in the next few years, because it makes a lot of sense if you can share expenses. You know, it makes it a lot easier to organize your studies. You can have, you know, guests come in and give seminars on different things, personal trainers. That, like, there's a lot of benefits that could arise, but I don't really hear about it very often. It all seems, but then again, maybe the people that are involved in these kind of things don't really want to share that that's what they're doing, because they want the edge. You know, they don't want people to be copying their approach.
Could be. But what I think is that poker, I think in the early days, like when happened this 2 months, 2 million, like kind of everything was kind of new, and it was a big like adventure to do it. And nowadays, someone just looks so like blasé, you know? Everyone looks like, so yeah, okay, poker as profession. You wake up, you do some calls with your coaching, you grind, you live your life, GG. You know, people are not like that into it as it was, you know. So I think this could be one of the reasons. And another reason is maybe the new generations will have to do it, because I'm 35 years old, married, so kind of impossible to me to like live a year with 5 other guys because of the work. I would do like, I don't know, 15 days, 20 days, a month maybe, but making too much of it is kind of hard, you know.
Did you ever live in a grindhouse, Todd, when you were in your pro gamer days?
Yeah, a lot of time. Actually, one of the first times, like I moved to South Korea in 2004, and I was like in a very small apartment with a player from Netherlands, Croatia, Sweden, and then we had one Korean player and one Korean manager, and then we would just like sleep, go to internet cafe, play 16 hours, sleep. Same thing, like every day, and we got very good doing that. So that was back when I had the life or death mindset. I was giving everything that I had into this.
What did you play?
Warcraft 3 back then, and then later on I played StarCraft 2 also professionally, but I was not as good in StarCraft 2. In Warcraft 3 I actually won like world championships.
Oh, nice.
I did find it.
This game was pretty nice, man. Yeah, but it was hard.
One of the best. There was a lot of good Brazilian players actually. There's a famous game I lost. There's a super well-known and renowned tournament called WCG, World Cyber Games, and there was one in Seattle. And I lost to a Brazilian guy that I should, probably never lose to. And then all Brazilians know this. God. Yeah, they got one up on me for sure because this guy beat me.
Nice. I didn't know we had so many good players of War 3 and StarCraft.
In StarCraft, maybe there was some too, decent, but maybe not on the same level. Yeah, not sure how comparable it is. But in War 3, for sure, there was some very good players.
Yeah, in this WCG, I remember I used to play Counter-Strike, and the WCG was in Dallas. Dallas, right?
Which year?
Yeah, it used to happen in Dallas.
Oh, that was CPL in Dallas.
Right? CPL, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't remember.
Are you talking about 2005?
I think, no, a little bit less. A little bit early, 2002, 2003, yeah.
Okay, but that was like Counter-Strike mostly, I guess.
Yeah, Counter-Strike, yeah.
Okay.
I used to play Counter-Strike.
There was a year where like I think they switched from Quake to Unreal tournaments, and then there was like massive prize money. And then Fatality won the last thing of the tour, which was in Dallas. And actually that year I won the tournament in Dallas for Warcraft 3. There was like 50 players or something.
Oh, nice.
I did find a hand, by the way. Like you wanted to see some Kevin hand, so we can have a look, and then we can do it as a mystery hands. So you maximum sweat in this case. You don't know what's going to happen, but I can tell you Rick deck has King 10 of clubs.
Okay. Let's see it.
And then if
Where it is.
you want, Dan, maybe you can do a bit of a breakdown if you feel like it.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
let's
looking
do
at I'm looking at it on.
So it's an open in the hijack from Kevin. Rigged does 1.1 in the small blinds. And we're a little bit deeper. It's like 120-ish, a little bit over 120 big blinds deep. So rigged that king 10 of clubs. Flop stop pair. He's going to continue for 30%. Kevin calls. Queen of clubs on the turn. So he has a top pair and a flush draw with a 10.
Mhm.
Rick checks. And Kevin bets 2/3.
Yeah.
Any thoughts here, like on the way King 10 suited is being played, like seeing he has top pair and a flush draw?
Are you asking me or?
Yeah, whoever wants to answer. Like the fact that he's instead of betting, he's check calling seems normal to you?
Yeah, pretty standard. Probably a very high frequency check because it's like one of the worst king X that he'll have here. So, he needs to kind of not protect, but yeah, he'll have to have some top pairs in the checking range and yeah, kind of medium equity here. So yeah, and he'll be very protected in the rivers by check calling one of the kings that have the flush draw. So pretty standard. Having like betting pretty high frequency, almost range in the flop. Then you have to check a lot on the turn, and worst king X that he three bets pre probably. I don't know if he's playing like 3-bet only or flatting something. He should flat something like with versus 2.2 without rake. But yeah, probably. I would guess like very high frequency check.
And so, yep.
Kevin have to bet big, yeah, because it doesn't make sense to bet small in position and reopen action without being polarized in this formation. Like with king queen there, have a lot of pocket pairs that wants to check. So yeah, second pair, he'll have to call. Kevin jammed, and I hope he doesn't have ace jack. Sorry, Kevin.
And so here there is like no block or anything like this? Or rigged?
No, for sure no. Yep. Just pure check.
Peaceful Johnny, any thoughts?
Sorry, I was a bit distracted. I missed the turn it was check call from rigged?
Yeah.
Or,
yep.
Yeah, and then yeah.
Sorry?
So checking, did he check Trevor?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that seems totally standard to me.
So is
yeah,
this
I don't
just
think
physically unfoldable?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you're still dominating some value bets, right? So even though you don't, yeah, you're dominating value bets. You block some of the hands that they're winning at, and even though you're not blocking, the straight is just like one combo that he could have basically.
Yeah.
One type of hand.
Yeah,
right?
like if Kevin has King Jack here, he's feeling pretty comfortable, right? Because he's called a c-bet on the flop. The guy's just check called the turn. Like he probably thinks, okay, if he had pocket queens or ace king or aces, he's probably betting turn the majority of the time or potentially check raising. So you could potentially just like bet the river here with king jack and hope to get hero called by, it's not even really a hero call, by like something like ace queen. Like, yeah, it's, and anytime you're in a situation as rig deck where you're potentially beating some value bets at this level, you have to call, because we all know that Kevin is very capable of bluffing.
Would Kevin play ace king like this?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. He will have a bunch. Like he will have some 4-bet spree, but the ones that he flats, yeah, you just call flop, betting polar on the turn, and jamming the river. Pretty standard.
All right, here we go.
Here we go.
Ouch.
Where it is? I can't see.
Yeah, I think the Twitch has a little bit of a little
Oh
bit
my
less of a delay
god,
than YouTube.
no.
Yeah, there you go.
I give like the maximum sweat to Tinyao. That's not right.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah, that was one that he won. That's the first one that I found. I can try to look, see if there was more, but I don't think he played a very long time.
Yeah, maybe he won like what he needed.
Yeah,
But
it seemed to
it's
me like
like
he just
seven.
played for a short time because he had a bit of time to spare. But I think Biluzin, he should message Kaki and try to ask him for updates in real time, because then he can really know like whether he needs to play or not, right? Instead of waiting
Okay.
for the update, because the update only happens once 24 hours. You know, like, to be honest, at the end of the challenge, it should happen more often. So I think maybe Kaki can make it so that he's able to check. I don't know how hard it is to actually do.
Nice. How do we talk to him?
Well, I think Biluzin is on there's like a Discord.
Oh, the Discord group.
So,
Okay.
so he should know about
Talk to him.
Kaki, and then he can easily talk to him.
I wonder if the two guys at the top would be open to kind of discussing what I think Prodigy had a thing last year with Rig Deck, that on these last days they're just going to commit to playing a certain amount of hands per day, just to avoid this sort of back and forth ICM cat and mouse game a little bit, where people are trying to win 3 buy-ins and then stop playing and see what the other person does. Yeah, maybe something like that could potentially be arranged. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's unlikely, especially because Kevin is in Japan skiing, so I think he barely has any time to play already.
Oh my god.
So I think Kevin was not on many tables. Right now, I'm scrolling down the latest hands that are logged in the replayer there to try and see how long he played and what he left with. But he stopped a long time. I think he was playing like 2-3 hours ago.
Yeah, if Kaki have the real-time leaderboard, then we can definitely ask him.
Yeah. Let me see.
I missed the start of this stream. Did Zinyo, did you guys talk about kind of your approach with Biluzin right now, in terms of what you're like? Are you guys kind of, I don't know, are you guys talking sort of strategy in this challenge every day, or thinking about your approach sort of as a team, or is it him kind of just in grind mode sort of on his own?
Yeah, for sure. We have like he have been talking with like Luis Cirelli is his coach nowadays. I talk like the daily basis with Pedro like normally, so have been discussing some stuffs, but nothing really like we don't have like a super plan looking, but we definitely looked at how some of the guys played. We discussed some hands, we reviewed some hands in group. So we have our deluxe group that is the normal classes that we have in group. He had some sessions with his coach, that is Luis Cirelli, and I have been talking with him like about hands and about like the strat of the end of the challenge also, and how the things works. So yeah, basically we have been a lot into it for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. I can imagine a lot of nervous watchers and a lot of just eyes on the
Yeah.
hands and eyes on the leaderboard in these last few days.
Yeah, for sure. Like the community, like the players, we have like some WhatsApp group, and they are all like, we are all like following and seeing how the things are going. And there was another thing, like when we decided in the meeting that Pedro would be playing, and then one of our partners say, "Hey, if you won this Rolex, then we're gonna give you another one." So actually, he's hunting for 2 Rolex. So if you won the cash game
It's amazing.
championship, yeah, he will won the Rolex and another one from Metagame.
Jesus, that is sick.
Yeah.
By the way, I sent you a screenshot of the last hand of Kevin at that table before he left. So he had 25K. So yeah, I don't know obviously if there was rebuys before or anything, but yeah, it does look like he won very likely at that table in particular.
Sick. Almost a draw right now, probably.
Yeah, I doubt this was the only table that he was playing, but it's very hard to know. So I really hope for the last 2 days they do like more updates, so we really know kind of like in real time what's happening and how much incentive there is for both of them to get back in there. And I mean, as a spectator, we obviously you're cheering for your guy, but as spectators, we hope for a close race, right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Oh, I found the other table. Oh my god, I'm good at this. So on the other table, I don't think he won. He left with like close to exactly starting stack. I think I almost found the last hands.
I'm imagining this crowd of all the Brazilian metagame members just round a screen watching the
like
last
a World Cup screen,
challenge. Yeah. I mean, I live in Brazil. I'm aware of any time there's a big sports event, there's the fireworks, there's the screams from outside. So
yeah,
like, I'm just imagining a poker version of this. It's going to be epic.
Exactly.
Well, we'll see.
And this is pretty nice, because on cash games you don't see too much of this competition, competition, and like this sweat, like everyone of the team like cheering for him is like super super cool. And yeah, we are definitely sweating a lot and cheering for him.
Yeah, it reminds me. I was somewhat involved in streaming the Galfond challenge back when I worked for Run It Once. It was actually, if people remember, it was a big challenge between Phil Galfond, heads up PLO, against Veni Vidi, and Phil Galfond was down. I don't even remember how much.
900K, I guess.
Yeah, almost 1 million, and then came back to eventually win. And that was actually live streamed from my apartment in Malta. And,
oh, nice.
I was obviously watching at the time when Phil eventually took the lead and won. And yeah, it was very much like any other kind of sports moment, or when you watch your friend win a tournament where we're all screaming at the end, and we're all on a call with all of our work friends who are all supporting Phil. So yeah, I hope. I mean, I'm impartial. I have. I don't have anything against Kevin.
You live in Brazil, bro. You live in Brazil, bro. Have to cheer for Pedro. Come on.
I'll throw my hat for Team Pedro, but yeah, I hope you guys get to have that experience, because yeah, it's very cool. And you're right that it's rare in cash games, right? We kind of often we just wake up, have our coffee, grind for an hour, meditate, grind for another hour, call it a day. Like, it's very very easygoing, not very competitive a lot of the time, even though it's competitive on the tables. But yeah, moments like this, you get to cheer for your boy, and it's very cool.
Yeah, for sure. Like, and you can't be like blasé in this type of moments. Like this is the reason like CoinPoker is doing this challenge. Everyone rooting. We understand that like in this level of game, everyone is super good. Like variance will like decide stuff for sure. But like who cares? Someone have to win. Like let's cheer for it. Let's hope we win. And yeah, I saw some guys, even in the challenge, like kind of trying to be like how do I say, like making light of, like, oh, who's gonna be doing podcasts, blah blah blah, like trying to feel like superiors to it. And man, you gotta be a little bit human in those, like let's try to win this shit. And it's if he win, we will celebrate a lot, and who cares,
Yeah, I think yeah, it's a good message for anyone. Just you're allowed to enjoy things. You're allowed to just get caught up in the excitement of sport, at the end of the day. And I think people have talked, there's been opinions shared in terms of like what this result means. At the end of the day, it is a month of volume. It's a 35, 40,000 hand sample. It's not going to be definitive that who wins this is the best player in the world. But it means something, These guys are the best in the world. You don't really get to play 35,000 hands and win at a 10 BB win rate and be just a luck box, right? It's not. And people are quite happy to watch the main event and think, okay, that's sick. Some guys won over a, I don't know, 400 hand sample or something. Like maybe a 1,000 hand sample. I don't know how long people play in the main, but this was a, it's not a legitimate sample of hands in the sense of we're going to say this is your exact win rate, but it means a lot. These are the best players in the world, and they've played for a whole month, incredible hours, lots of tables. Like, to win this is an incredible achievement for whoever pulls it off, and they can be very proud. And it's not, there's obviously a lot of variance. There's obviously a lot of luck. Linus is not the second worst player at high stakes. We all know that. But this is a pretty decent demonstration of who's playing well and who's taking it seriously, right? Like, if we look at the top 10 players, we're seeing a couple of the same names. We're seeing Kevin again. We're seeing Prodigy. We're seeing Davy Jones. Like, there are these names that seem to rise to the top, and there's variance mixed in amongst that. But this is real. It means something, and as cash game players, I think we're allowed to get behind it and get excited about it.
For sure.
Now,
For sure. Very well said, my friend.
You can feel less bad about not succeeding in a mid-stakes championship because you see even Linus is struggling in his own stakes.
well, I can't. I can't. It means that I fully believe that this is a measure of skill, because it benefits me to say that it's all luck, because I dumped 10 buy-ins in the mid-stakes challenge quite easily, and like, it would be very easy for me to turn around and say it's all luck, but there's it's a little bit more than that.
Yeah. I did spot a hand that looked interesting, but first let's see what happens here on the left. We got a big pot, Chile and Prodigy. Snap call on the river. And we got aces versus ace jack. Prodigy collecting. Maybe a late rally to contest for the Rolex. Nice pickup for him. We did have a question in the chat for you, Zinyao. It's Hajeb. He asks, would love to hear his opinion. What is the Brazilian community's opinion on CoinPoker?
Nice question. So, what I have been hearing, and I also work with CoinPoker. One of our business, we have some agency business, and I'm one of the guys that promotes CoinPoker for agents here, like stables and agents overall in Brazil. And what I have been hearing is that people wants to understand a little bit more, like how the field is, like if the field is tough. Some guys are kind of still thinking that the field is somewhat tough, but I just hear like good stuff, because I think it's a good initiative. About the Cash Games Championship, not even have to say, but I think this is like what poker needs. This is what poker needs. It's like awesome to bring some initiative like that. I saw CoinPoker right now signing with Nick Hairball, that I think could bring some recreationals to get a better field. But I just heard good stuff, People already know. We had two guys from our community that were ambassadors. That is Olívio Gontijo and Bárbara Kemi, a girl. And they are well known in the community and made a pretty good work. So yeah, just good stuff.
Yeah, what's the name of there is an MTT player, I forgot his name. I played with him one time, like they were doing like a 5-10 game.
What? In Brazilian? I don't know.
Yeah. Damn, what is his nickname?
Fat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy.
His Olívio, Olívio Gontijo, big fat.
Yeah, this guy was, by the way, he was really obnoxious. Like, I think he's funny, but he in that game, he kept saying, like, give me more money, give me more money. And he kept winning everything. He was running so good. I was like, oh my God, I hate that guy. So sick.
Yeah. I don't know why, but he said his ticket 1.5 year with CoinPoker, he and Barbara, but apparently their contract ended and they left right now.
Okay.
So I don't know. Maybe Coin is going to another type of of marketing stuffs in Brazil. I don't know. There's Paulo Costa, Borrachinha, you know, you that knows UFC.
Yeah.
He's also an ambassador. I don't know if he sticks with Coin, but yeah, I think yes.
Cool. I did spot a hand that looked interesting, by the way, because especially there was some follow-up chats with it. So I'll bring it up now.
Nice. Let's go.
So this was Prodigy Opens cutoff rigged is in the big blind. We are 107 big blinds deep, or effective. 883.
Mm-hmm.
And Prodigy continues for quarter. Rigged is going to make the call. 3 of spades on the turn. Check. Prodigy is again going to go small, quarter. Rigged check raises.
Interesting.
Small.
Interesting. Yeah. They're both going thin, you know. Yeah.
And then we get a
I feel
call.
like Prodigy's size is quite interesting. Like on this kind of a board, it feels like if you've got a pocket pair, you know, it feels like this you could go bigger than this, you know? Like I'm wondering if he's trying to value bet some ace highs.
Yeah, that's interesting indeed. The ranges changes a little bit when we're playing without rake. So big blind he made like 2.2. Big blind is super wide, and I would expect him to be. I would expect him to have a very high percentage of c-bet, maybe a little bit higher when there's rake involved, because the big blind ranges when there's rake involved are gonna be the ones that are gonna be suffering more. So when there's rake involved, he will be way tighter than he is without rake. So I think it's fine for Prodigy to bet a lot. Like if it is rake wise, I would say you see bet like 60% in this board, but without rake, I would say 80 maybe range. And he calls, and then the tree being the spade, like if it was like a rainbow tree, he would have little bit more 3x, but I don't think this changes too much, to be honest. And I think he could have 2 regions indeed. It's interesting. I never see too many like block IP, but Prodigy is pretty good, and probably he's probably correct here in being value betting a little bit more thinner. And I don't know, he should have all the pocket pairs. I don't think so. So he could have a little bit more pocket pairs than rigged deck going thin, and rigged deck going 70. I think probably rigged should be going smaller if he wants to be like super thin with pocket nines, pocket sevens. Normally these paired boards wants to go a little bit smaller, so you can see like 2.5x raises, something like that. He's going a little bit bigger and polarizing a little bit. So let's see what happened on the river. He called.
Yeah, he called what you call the raise? Then we get a jack of hearts on the river. There is 22-50 in the middle. And rigged bets. He bets out. And Prodigy re-raises.
Sick. Nice.
Very sick.
And it wasn't too big, right? Let me see.
It goes from 1687 to 4500.
Yeah, what he's representing here is that rigged is representing somewhat thin, but not that thin. And Prodigy, with this type of sizing, he probably can go with more than full houses here. So yeah, he's kind of representing that he have like some overpairs still. and Rig have some low pairs. I would guess that. And but I could be rusty in those ranges. I'm not that familiar with, to be honest.
Peaceful Johnny, any thoughts on this spot? Do you face this every day?
Yeah, very rarely. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to go with Zinyao's opinion. I was quite I was surprised to hear that. When I see Rigged has raised turn and then bets 2/3 on the river, I would expect he's, I don't know. This seems like a size that's a bit too thin to go with, like, I don't know, like pocket nines here. Because what are you hoping that Prodigy's called you're raised with on the turn and then is going to call this river? You're kind of like, because Prodigy can still, assuming he's using one size on the turn, he can still have stuff like pocket tens and like maybe some hands like, I think Ace Jack is a bit weird to bet the turn with, but like he can definitely have overpairs and stuff. So I feel like this is, when I first looked at this, I thought it was more polar from Rigged. And then when Prodigy raises, I think it is like repping like an 8. But I might, if this is obviously a wide range spot with no rake, I would be, I will trust the professional in Zinyo, but
Come on, you're professional also. I liked it. Yeah, one thing to notice that also is that with one quarter bet, there those type of spots you can't call too much. So I would guess at least 20%, of the range, the rigged range should be raising with like pocket pairs and 8x especially. So he shouldn't have too many 8x in his calling range to begin with. He could have some 3x, yeah. But yes, how Prodigy is going like somewhat wide and not ranging bet, it's kind of splitting a little bit by going double barreling IP blocking. I think he could have like a lot of ace x still, like value betting some of the other like king x, queen x, jack x from rigged, and some flush draws still like that floated. So some random stuff like, I don't know, yeah, basically the king x and the, but for example, some 7-5 suited, 6-4 suited, all of those hands will have to peel on the flop and would still like be obligated to call on the turn or raise on the turn. So yeah, I see this spot as being a little bit more wide, especially because of the sizing Prodigy is making on the river. He's saying like, I believe I can go a little bit thinner, and you are wide enough to have to call with it. So I can see Prodigy still like for sure having to call ace highs on the river and probably going a little bit thin. Of course, the boats like 8x, 3x, pocket jacks, but yeah, pocket queens plus, he could go in this sizing with this value bet.
Yeah, it's very, very cool hand. And yeah, it makes a lot of sense that because Prodigy is so wide on the turn, when he gets raised, he kind of still just has to call a lot of stuff that's not necessarily a pair or a boat. Wow, yeah, turns the ace deuce into the bluff. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a wild
Super
hand.
cool. That's
What do you
wild,
think
yeah.
of this? What do you think of this hand selection from Prodigy? Obviously, like, no blockers to the strong pocket pairs from rig deck, no blockers really to the 8x or 3x because he's got spades. Like, is this just a raise where he thinks that he's just putting rigged on too many pocket pairs and thinks he's overfolding them? Is that kind of where Prodigy's head is at, or is this just like relatively standard hand selection, just wants to unblock a bunch of pairs?
If I have to guess, I would say it's more of the second app, the B option, that yeah, he thinks rigged would have a hard time and would overfold. Uh, better hands to this sizing, but yeah, I I don't
And I
know,
suppose with full
maybe.
rig deck is able to defend a bunch of ace-x offsuit as well, right? Like ace-8. I think if it was 2.2 pre, maybe ace-8 off just defends by blind.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
like the spades aren't as important.
Yeah, it's kind of tough to me, like to think about it, because uh I would never think about like this small bad IP on the turn. I would like polarize a little bit more, but yeah. Um, about the blockers, to be honest, I would have to think a little bit more because I have no idea what type of hands he should be choosing to bluff this river with, you know, like. But yeah, I think he just went more for the. I think he's somewhat capped and not gonna pay me without a full house. He have to pay a little bit more without it, with like some of the pairs that he's going thin. Yeah, that's my thought, but I could be really off on it, you know? I could be really off on it.
Yeah. I feel like this hand is very like 2025 or very like 2025 cash game challenge. Like lots of small betting, clicking back with small raises, very depolarized. I've very, Davy Jones esque sort of stuff going on here. 2010 poker, people are just like B75 and jamming with raises. Like there's just none of this like poking and jabbing sort of thing.
Death
Yeah,
by a
for
thousand
sure.
cuts.
Exactly.
Didn't work out in this case. Rigged, making the call. And yeah, he's proven to be a difficult guy to bluff and on a hell of an upswing. Probably, I think the most impressive comeback, or one of the that we've had. Oh wait, that's the first
Yeah,
challenge.
I think the big three in terms of just like who has the craziest graph. I think Biluzin, obviously. I mean, when you think that Biluzin was just was essentially break even on day 17, and here we are like 9 days later, and he's up nearly $350,000. It's pretty insane.
Sick. Yeah.
And yeah, then the other two are like our rig deck and uh, Matt Marinelli, I think, who both they came back from being down 200k to basically even. I haven't checked exactly where rig deck is falling. Yeah, he's 40k in the green, having been down nearly 250,000 at his bottom,
And
which
like,
is
so yesterday he won.
crazy.
He won 6 binds, like we can see on the right side, 62k hands, 62k dollars EV, 3.4k hands. He gained 51 position. It says on the left. So he literally went from being down a little bit and like in the bottom half to 11th position in one session. It's just such a sick recovery, I think, from him.
Yeah, and even just
Sick.
like
Yeah.
the couple of days, because he was, he day 22 he was at minus 100k, and he won, 10k 10k, then like 50k 50k. He was up like, yeah, over 100k in like 3 days. Just wild stuff from rigged, and also just so much heart and just love of the grind. The guy has just he's put in 71,000 hands this month, which I don't think I've actually ever done in my poker career. Never mind like high stakes against the very best players in the world. Like that's just he just loves the game, loves the challenge, loves the battle, and just has this never say die attitude. Like if you can imagine, I can't even get my head around losing nearly $250,000 over a couple of weeks, and then still waking up the next day and just playing hand after hand and just saying, no, I'm going to get out of it. And he did. Like, not a lot of players can say that. It's pretty incredible mindset, pretty incredible grit from rigged.
Yeah. It is indeed, man. It is. Have to respect that.
You honestly wouldn't be that surprised if he ends up in the top spot. I mean, we got several days left. This is like still another like 15,000 hands by rig decks volume. So like,
you know what's crazy, by the way? Look at the Sun Run tab. So it means how much EV they're above or below. I feel like Rig took all the EV of the top guys. They're all in the red. None of them is above EV. Like literally all the top guys. That's insane.
Yeah, don't get all in pre-flopped against rig deck. That seems to be the lesson of the challenge.
You're cooked. So many binds over EV. 12 binds, dude. That's mad.
Yeah, Juan Roman doing nicely as well. Casual 40k above his Voidaments as well, just 69k above EV.
Yeah, but Juan yesterday lost 6 binds though, so I don't think he'll be too thrilled about that. But yeah, at least he's above EV. Look at Linus, man. Minus 100k, 10 binds.
So sick.
That's disgusting.
I had to solve a hand, and I'm looking at it. So the hand that we saw about Prodigy versus Rig.
Yeah.
So basically, yeah, like he can range bet. Prodigy can range bet. 92% basically range, yeah. And what I said about the raise, basically Rig should fold 36%, call 35%, and raise it 28% if he's using like 3x and a little bit of the raising sizing. I think he could use even smaller, so he should definitely have more raises than calls. After the flop, Rig could donk a little bit. I don't know if he's gonna be doing it, but I think yes, because it's kind of intuitive that the 3x you could donk a little bit. So Owen shouldn't reopen with the blocking IP, but once he does it, yeah, you have some raises with 3x of rigged, you have some raises with the 8x, and yeah, you have some raises with pocket 7s, pocket 6s, pocket queens, pocket jacks. That, yeah, one thing that we didn't mention is that rigged still have like some pocket queens and jacks in his range. Owen should just call, and Owen's basically with 8x, all the pockets, and some ace-x. And then on the jack, on the river, Rig bet like polarized 67. Yeah, he should bet. Yeah, he can't bet the pockets anymore. Like the worst pocket pair that he bets with this sizing is the pocket jacks. So yeah, basically 3x jacks plus. Once he bet, let's see Owen's response. Yeah, Owen could have the sizing, but low frequency. Basically, he's just jamming. He's going all in or calling. And ace deuce suited is basically a fold on the river. So never should be turned into a bluff. And the bluffs that he should have is turning like pocket 4 to pocket 7s into a bluff, turning pocket 9s into a bluff, and a little bit of ace 9 would bluff. So yeah.
Yeah, so for this to be good from Owen, it probably he has to be thinking that maybe rigged is a little bit more mergy, a little bit more pocket pair heavy than he should be on the turn, and then he thinks that unblocking the pocket pairs is better for the river bluff. But yeah, just yeah, pretty sick hand. It's yeah,
pretty sick, yeah. Yeah, I wonder
cool one to study.
I wonder what type of incentive to begin with Owen was trying to do on the turn. Very interesting. Yeah, gotta think about this one for sure.
I mean, I can see rig deck looking at, because if Prodigy's bet essentially range on the flop and then depolarize his turn, like essentially when Prodigy bets the turn, he could have like 70% of his opening range, so because it's going to be pretty high frequency, and then he bet range on the flop. So if you're looking at that as rig deck and you have pocket 4s or through 10s, pretty easy to raise. And then when you're on the river, if you're sitting there with pocket 9s, you're thinking, okay, well, he's called my raise on the turn with a bunch of ace highs and a bunch of like lower pocket pairs. So maybe I can just get some value. And then if you're Prodigy and you've worked all this out, maybe you think, okay, he's just got too many sixes,
Yeah.
sevens, nines here, so I'm just going to bluff him, and I'm going to use a hand that unblocks that. So yeah, there's a lot of layered assumptions stacked on top of each other. We don't actually really know from the showdown who kind of got it right, you know, because
Sure.
Red Deck just had the three. So yeah, it's interesting to see. Like, you know, we can sit here and we can say, okay, Prodigy, you know, played it wrong, so to speak, from the solver perspective. But if his assumptions are right, maybe it's a good play, and he's got the experience playing a lot of these small depolarized ranges, small click back raises. Like he's going to be very experienced in these situations, and you know his assumptions generally work out for him. So yeah, very interesting hand, and a good one to learn from for all the kind of low to mid stakes players. If you were, you know, on the turn and or even on the flop, and you've just like you would never think about raising with a pocket pair, for example, this is the kind of hand to look at and take a look into on the solver and see, okay, what is all this poking and prodding and raising all about, and what's it trying to achieve, and then what do I expect to happen in my games with my opponents, right? Because that's where the real EV comes, right? The real exploits, because you're going to find that if you do a bunch of small betting and a bunch of small raising, low stakes players are not going to be used to that, and they're going to make some pretty huge mistakes in a lot of these spots.
For sure.
All right, guys. Yeah, I think that's going to be it for now. It's been a pleasure to chat with both of you. You guys are welcome back anytime. And if you have any last things to say, any shout outs whatsoever, now is the time. By the way, Xinyao, if Saulo is interested in coming on the stream, we would love to have him. So if you want to pass him the message on, that'd be greatly appreciated.
For sure. I'm gonna pass the message to him. And I'm pretty sure he would be honored to be here also. And I want to thank you, the audience. I want to thank you, the space here to come here and talk about poker, talk about metagame, talk about the challenge. It was a pleasure to be with you guys. I already knew. We exchanged some messages on Instagram, but Peaceful Journey, I didn't know. So what's your name? Peaceful?
It's Dan.
Dan? Okay, Dan. So nice to meet you. You're very welcome to chat with me anytime if you want to join metagame. I'm already here making my advertise. So and I want to thank you everyone. It was a pleasure, and I hope for sure Biluzin to win. But even though he don't, what he did, it was already amazing. Just to be there, like competing with Davey and Kevin in this challenge is like mind-blowing, and he's very happy, and Brazilian community is very happy with him also. So yeah, we're gonna root for him. I hope he wins, and thanks everyone, guys.
Thank you, sir. Have a good night.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye. Have a good one.
Thank you, sir. Awesome. And yeah, from my side, not I mean, I could give a bunch of shout outs, but I'm not going to take up everybody's time. Thanks.
Also, you were supposed to say your name was Gringo Dan.
Gringo Dan. It's only true if there's another Dan in the stable, then I can be identified, you know. But yeah, no, it's obviously great to be here once again. I appreciate you, Johan, for giving me so much time to come on here and, you know, chat with top players and top personalities in the game and analyze some hands. It's a great opportunity for me, and a great learning opportunity for just seeing how the best in the world play. So that's very cool. Who have we got on the stream for the last couple of days? What are our guests? Or are you keeping it a surprise?
No, it's not a surprise at all. I have 3 guests right now scheduled. Tomorrow we have at 3 p.m. Exploitable, so another Brazilian takeover. And then at 7 p.m. we're going to have Munez for the first time. We didn't have him during the first Cash Game World Championship, so it's going to be pretty cool to finally hear from him. And then on Sunday, 7 p.m. we'll have Gary Chappell to a little bit before the final stretch. I mean, I don't think he's gonna stay that long, but at least we'll have him there for a while, and then I think to finish the stream with, not sure yet, but hopefully we end up basically when the challenge ends. I hope we do the same as last time with a big call. I even told Kevin it would be nice if he could be there. A big call with everybody to just kind of like go back over it and have a fun chat as well.
Yeah, sounds awesome. Some big hitters in there, big names. Would be yeah, very cool to see. I'll be very interested to see how not only the challenge plays out, but just watch the streams and take in so much great advice from so many great players. It's it's a great opportunity and a great spectacle for poker. So yeah, shout out to you, shout out to all the players, shout out to Biluzin. I guess I'm team Biluzin now. Shout out to Brazil. And yeah, let's get some money in these last few days. Let's make it a sweat, huh, Kevin? Let's make it interesting.
You might have already.
That's what I'm really rooting for.
Yeah,
indeed. Let's get that leaderboard update. Right. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, boss. Laters. Good night.
Ciao.
All right. Yeah, great. Another great stream. Big love to Xinyao and Peaceful Journey for joining the stream today and chatting with us. Shout out to all the viewers as always. And yeah, make sure to give a follow to PokerStrategy.com and CoinPoker on all their socials and streaming platforms. If you guys want to follow me, I'm Johan Merlo on both X and Instagram. Thank you so much. We're back tomorrow. I don't think I will start early tomorrow because we have 2 guests planned from like afternoon and evening. So I think 3 p.m. CET right now is what's set with Exploitable, one of the players from Brazil that played in this challenge. So I'll see you guys then, and I wish you all a great night. Until then, see you very soon. Bye-bye.